Part 6. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, She is Soft and Sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 51. Chapter 51. He smiles very sweetly. In the morning, Yubeo woke up and found an enlarged face lying beside the bed. Little ant, get up quickly, the sun is shining on your butt, you will be late for school. When the little nephew Lu saw Yubeo waking up, he immediately reached out to pull her. Yubeo slept late last night and was still a little dazed. Being pulled by the dear nephew, he fell down on the bed with the quilt. In the end, it ended with the dear nephew holding his buttocks and crying and going out. Next door. Gu Xingzi came out of home carrying a small school bag, and when he heard a familiar voice, the corners of his mouth tightened unconsciously. Zhou Tuanzi ran away in anger yesterday, so you shouldn't pay attention to him again today, right? Although he didn't admit it with his mouth, he couldn't help but feel a little annoyed in his heart, but he still kept a straight face to prevent others from noticing that he actually regretted it. Ning Shen glanced at her son's awkward little face and held back her laughter without saying anything. Seeing him deliberately taking his time to go out, he didn't rush him. Yubeo and nephew Lu came out of the house. One asked, "Does your head still hurt?" Another asked, "Does yours still hurt?" Yubeo, "My head doesn't hurt anymore, please stop crying." The little nephew Lu sobbed and said, "But my still hurts, and I can't stop. Then I'll cry for a while, and I'll stop crying after a while." Yubao hugged him like a little adult and said, "Then you cry. If you cry for a while, your won't hurt anymore." Dear's nephew responded with a heavy nasal voice. As soon as the two of them finished talking, they saw Gu Xingzi walking out of the yard. Yubeo's eyes lit up, and she immediately left her little nephew Lu, who couldn't stop crying, and ran towards him. "Little brother, good morning." After sleeping, she had completely forgotten that the two of them were together yesterday. The fight over snacks. Young Master Gu was startled for a moment, then said tried to pull his lips, and gave the other party a rare smile. Yubeo's expression suddenly froze. Wow, the little brother looks so sweet when he smiles, and he even has dimples. So cute. Young Master Gu seemed to realize something. The smile on his lips disappeared quickly and soon turned into his usual cold face. Huh. Yubeo blinked, as if she had discovered some secret. Then he took young Master Gu's hand and asked in a soft voice, "Brother, can you smile again? Just once, just smile again, okay?" She wanted to secretly take a picture of her little brother's smile. But no matter what she said, young Master Gu always had a stern face and refused to smile again. Yubao couldn't help showing a disappointed expression. The little brother is so stingy that he doesn't even want to smile more. Gu Xingzi glanced at her, then took out 2 snacks and handed them to her. Thinking of the way Ning's mother looked at him when he went out in the morning, nephew Gu's face couldn't help but heat up. Normally there is only 1 piece, but today there are actually 2 pieces. However, she wanted to see her little brother's dimples more than getting some dessert. Yubeo's little head was drooped and his expression was wilted. He was not at all as happy as when he saw the snacks, like a little mouse falling into a rice vat. "Gu Xingzi, if you don't want to eat it, forget it," he said, and took the snack back. "I want it, thank you little brother." Yubao hurriedly took the snack, as if he was afraid that the other party would regret it. If you can't see your little brother's dimples, then eat some snacks to make up for your injured little heart. However, she was so full from what she had eaten in the morning that she couldn't finish even half a piece. Yubeo carefully put the remaining snacks into his school bag. In fact, he used the school bag to collect the snacks into the system. This way, the snacks won't go bad no matter how long you keep them, and you don't have to worry about being discovered by your mother. System, the storage space that everyone wants in Suanmen has been reduced to the kinetic energy of a mobile refrigerator. Is this a distortion of human nature or a loss of morality? Young Master Gu couldn't help but frowned when he saw her putting away the remaining snacks. She usually complained that one piece of snack was not enough for the ugly dumplings, but today she only ate half a piece and stopped eating. Is it possible that today's dim sum is not delicious? Compared to ugly dumpling getting fat, he seemed to prefer to see her satisfied when eating. Young Master Gu is a little annoyed. He shouldn't have quarreled with her yesterday. If she likes to eat, just let her eat more. As long as she is happy, it doesn't matter if she eats a little fatter. Dingle bell, a crisp ringing sound came. Yu Bao and young Master Gu raised their heads and looked over at the same time. I saw a man dressed as a Taoist priest, holding a soul-drawing flag in one hand and a soul-calling bell in the other. He was ringing the bell and muttering something in his mouth. The wandering soul, where can it be left? The 3 souls have descended early, and the 7 orifices have not yet arrived. In the wilderness by the river, there are deserted temples and villages, in the public courts and prisons, and in the tombs and forests, in false alarms and lawsuits, the true soul is lost. Today, the 5 gods of the mountain are sent, and the wandering general, I am in charge of the land, Lord Zazao, I am sending you to search carefully, collect the souls, and help the spirits. Open the gates of heaven and earth, and I have been ordered to send the souls here in a hurry. Little ant, what are they doing? Young nephew Lu had stopped crying now. He ran to Yu Bao and looked in the direction of the Taoist priest and asked. Calling the soul, Xiao Nai replied in a soft and waxy voice. When Yu Bao was in Koi town, he often encountered women carrying frightened children up the mountain to ask the Taoist priest for help in collecting the souls. The Taoist priests of the Koi temple occasionally come down to help with rituals, and she can do this too. Except for Lu Da's nephew and Yu Bao, everyone who went to the deserted house yesterday was frightened and sick. The most serious one is the grandson of the old Zhang family next door. The fever persisted all night, so the family had no choice but to invite the Taoist priest to come to the house before dawn. Even after reciting the soul-inducing incantation 7 times, the grandson of the Zhang family was still unconscious, and there was no sign of his fever subsided. Taoist priest, why doesn't the child wake up? The woman holding the child in her arms had black eyes and red eyes. It looked like she had been worried all night and had not slept. The Taoist priest frowned and said, Don't worry. I'm afraid the soul of your young master has lost his way somewhere. I'll call him again. I am in the service of the Supreme Lord. My divine soldiers and generals are as urgent as the law and order, and as urgent as the law and order. I am in the service of the Supreme Lord. My divine soldiers and generals are as urgent as the law and order, and as urgent as the law and order. The Taoist priest recited the urgent mantra again. I read it several times in succession, but the child in the woman's hands still showed no signs of improvement. Taoist priest, what should we do? The woman burst into anxious tears. If the burning continues like this, I am afraid that even if the person wakes up, he will be burned into a fool. The Taoist priest wiped the non-existent cold sweat on his forehead and said, It's possible that the child's soul is far away and is on its way back. Originally thought it was just an ordinary soul loss, but who knew that his soul recalling spell didn't work? If the soul couldn't be summoned back, his signature would probably be destroyed here. End of this chapter. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 52. Chapter 52 I'll go with you. Yu Bao looked at the scene over there and suddenly thought of something. Then he summoned the little resentful spirit in the peachwood sword and asked, Do you know where his soul was lost? 7 or 8 little resentful spirits gathered together, all talking, I know, I saw it yesterday. I saw it too, in the deserted house. The grandson of the Zhang family was frightened yesterday and his soul was left in the deserted house. Later, because of old tricks, his soul was trapped in the house together with the resentful spirit. Now I'm afraid I'm still in that house. Can you take me to him? Yu Bao asked. It seems that the other party's soul can't come back on its own, and someone has to lead him back. I'll go, I know where he is. The resentful spirits scrambled to guide Yubao. After Yubao communicated with the little resentful spirits, he raised his head and looked at young Master Gu and said, "Brother, can you wait for Yubao? Yubao has to do something very important and will be back soon." "What are you going to do?" Gu Xingzi watched her take out a tattered peachwood sword from her skull bag and muttered to herself about the small wooden sword. Just as he was wondering, he heard her say that she was going to do something important. About the matter, he immediately asked. "I want to help my brother from the Zhang family next door," Yubao said in a soft voice. Gu Xing didn't know what she was going to do, but when he thought of her strange talismans, he couldn't help but frown. Could she be trying to use the talisman to save people? Yubao did not explain in detail what he was going to do, but ran towards the Taoist priest on his short legs, raised his head and asked, "Uncle, can I borrow your bell from Yubao?" The Taoist priest was irritated because the soul-calling spell didn't work. When he heard the voice, he subconsciously wanted to scold him. Unexpectedly, when he lowered his head, he saw a white, tender, and soft little face. The words he was about to curse were inexplicable. He swallowed it back and changed his words, "Kid, this bell of mine is not for children to play with." Yubao doesn't want to play. Yubao knows where the little brother is. Yubao can bring the little brother back, Xiao Neiyin said seriously. When the Taoist priest heard this, his face couldn't help but darken. Where did the child come from? He must have come here to cause trouble on purpose. Then he waved to her impatiently and said, "Go, go, this is not a place for you to mess around." "Uncle, I really know where the Zhang family's little brother is. As long as you lend your bell to Yubao, Yubao can bring him back. Although she can bring people back without a bell, there is a soul-calling bell to guide the way. The little brother can go home faster." The Taoist priest said with a straight face, "No, no, this is not something you children can touch casually." At this moment, a black shadow suddenly rushed over and headed straight towards the Taoist priest. The Taoist priest was startled and subconsciously took a step back. After coming back to his senses, he immediately raised the soul-inducing flag in his hand and waved it towards the black shadow. "Little cutie," Yubao's face changed and he exclaimed. However, the black shadow's reaction was faster than everyone expected. The Taoist priest felt that his hands were empty. The hand that originally held the soul-calling bell was already empty. Woof! On the other side, the little cutie placed the bell in front of Yubao, wagging his tail at her as if to take credit. "Little cutie, you are awesome." Yubao knelt down and patted the little black dog on the head. Woof! Woof! The little black dog's face was full of pride, and its tail wagged even more happily. The Taoist priest blushed angrily, pointed at the person and the dog in front of him and said, You, please return my soul-calling bell quickly." "Little cutie, come on." Seeing that the Taoist priest was about to rush over, Yubao commanded the little black dog to drag him with a little milky voice, while quickly bending down to pick up the soul-calling bell on the ground. Woof woof! The little black dog immediately rushed up and bit the Taoist priest's trouser leg. Yubao held the soul-calling bell and turned around to run towards the deserted house. The angry voice of the Taoist priest came from behind, "You, come back to me, my soul-calling bell." Yubao had only taken 2 steps when he bumped into Gu Xingzi, who was following him. Gu Xingzi was knocked back 2 steps, grabbed Yubao's hand and said, "Where are you going?" Yubao didn't have time to slowly explain to him, so he directly picked him up and ran forward together. After running for a while and making sure that the Taoist leader would not catch up, he let go of Gu Xingzi's hand, patted his chest, and gasped, "Oh, baby, I'm so exhausted." "Where are you going? Why are you trying to steal the Taoist priest's spell?" Gu Xingzi asked Yubao with a frown. Yubao blinked and said, "I have seen Taoist priests help others summon spirits on the mountain before. I can do it too. I know where Brother Zhang is. I will take him home. Young Master Gu pursed his lips, stared at her for a while and said, I'll go with you. No. Little brother, you can't go. Yubeo thought that his little brother had a special physique and could easily provoke bad things. There might be some resentful spirits in the deserted house that had not left. What if you get stuck with your little brother? Young Master Gu said firmly with a small face, either we go together, or you are not allowed to go either. Oh well. Yubeo thought for a while, took off the lucky bag that the Taoist priest of the Koi temple had given her, stuffed it into Gu Zingzi's hand and said, Brother, take this, be sure to hold it well. Don't throw it away, this is Yubeo's amulet. Just stay at the door and wait for Yubeo. Yubeo will come out soon. No. Young Master Gu grabbed her hand tightly and said, I want to go in with you. Yubao frowned and hesitated for a while before nodding, okay, then you must follow Yubao closely. Following the instructions of the little resentful spirits, Yubao quickly found the lost soul of the young master of the Zhang family at the entrance of the basement, which was currently shrinking in the corner in fear. I don't know if it's because all the evil spirits ran out of the house, but the temperature in the house is much higher than the last time I came here. Yubao stepped forward, squatted down in front of him, and said in a soft voice, Little brother, don't be afraid, I'm here to take you home. Gu Zingzi, who was following her, felt an indescribable weird feeling when he saw her talking to a ball of air. When she realized that she actually called someone else little brother, her face suddenly turned dark. The young master of the Zhang family who was huddled in the corner raised his head and glanced at Yubao. After a while, he seemed to recognize her and said, Are you the little one brought by Lu Xiaoi? I remember you. Why are you here? I'm here to take my little brother home. Little brother, let's go, he said, extending his little hand towards the other party. The latter seemed to remember something, and his soul suddenly began to tremble. Don't be afraid, little brother, those things have gone away and they won't hurt you. Yubao Xiaonating comforted the other party. Gone, the other party seemed a little confused. Yubao nodded, let's go, so let's go home quickly. The latter hesitated for a moment, and finally grabbed the little hand that Yubao stretched out in front of him. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 53. Chapter 53. Yubao is very capable. Gone, the other party seemed a little confused. Yubao nodded, let's go, so let's go home quickly. The latter hesitated for a moment, and finally grabbed the little hand that Yubao stretched out in front of him. The white and tender little hands were as soft as holding a ball of cotton. Yubao took the opportunity to ring the bell in his hand, and his voice was crisp and clear, as if breaking through the gloom and darkness in the room. Little brother, follow my bell, and I will take you home. Ding-a-ling ring, ding-a-ling-a-ling, the crisp bell rang, and the young master of the Zhang family, who was trapped in the deserted house, suddenly found a golden light appearing under his feet. He followed the golden light mechanically and walked out step by step. When the golden light disappeared, he slowly opened his eyes and saw the worried face of the woman. Wake up, the woman cried out in surprise. Mom, what's wrong with me? Young Master Zhang said in a hoarse voice. Having been burning all night, my voice is hoarse now. You kid, if you dare to run around disobediently next time, you will scare me to death, do you know? Mother Zhang said with tears of joy while slapping her son. On the other side, Yubao, with a cute little face, returned the soul-calling bell to the Taoist priest, with a sweet and soft voice, Uncle, thank you for the bell. However, the Taoist priest opposite her did not agree with her. He had a dark face, as if he was possessed by Zhongkui. I saw that the Taoist robe on the opponent's body was torn into strips by the little black dog, as if he had a mop head hanging on his body, and the Taoist crown on his head was also tilted halfway. In short, he looked so embarrassed, and he was no longer as immortal as he was at the beginning. The appearance of the wind channel bone. Even Yu Bao was startled when he saw it. He stared at his big round eyes for a while before he dared to step forward. I didn't expect the little cutie to be so powerful. It was really hard for it today. I must ask the housekeeper to add a bone to it tonight. The other party was already so angry with the dog that he could not speak. After seeing Yu Bao, his anger increased even more. He shook his beard and snatched the soul-calling bell from her hand, pointing at her, his fingers trembling. After a while, he cursed loudly, "You are a willful little girl who behaves recklessly and boldly. I don't know who raised her. You must be well disciplined. If you deny it, you will definitely cause trouble for your parents and elders in the family in the future." Yu Bao was immediately unhappy when she heard this. She was obviously doing good things, so how could the Taoist uncle say she was just fooling around? Xiao Nadian immediately retorted sharply, "Uncle Taoist, Yu Bao borrowed uncle's bell without Taoist uncle's permission. Yu Bao did something wrong. Yu Bao apologizes to you. However, Yu Bao is not the one who you're just messing around, you just want to borrow your uncle's bell to bring your little brother back. She is a little koi carp personally blessed by the koi carp fairy. Xiao Jin said that as long as she is around, she will bring good luck to everyone. What the Taoist uncle said is not accurate at all. Moreover, he couldn't even recall the soul of the little brother from the Zhang family. He was worse than a child like her. It must be because he didn't study hard and was not good at Taoism. I can't be like him. You mean you got back the soul he lost? The Taoist priest was surprised. How old is the little girl in front of you? How could he have such ability? Yu Bao patted his chest and said, "Yu Bao is very capable." "Humph, you learned to lie at a young age," the Taoist leader coldly snorted. "You are a kid who is full of nonsense, and your mind is not right at a young age. My Taoism is so broad and profound that I can't even enter it in 3 or 5 years. Door. What can a baby know?" Little Nabao retorted seriously, "Yu Bao is not talking nonsense. Uncle can't think that Yu Bao can't do it just because he can't do it himself. Moreover, she clearly brought the little brother's soul back, so she didn't lie." The Taoist priest instantly became angry and said, "Do you mean to say that my Taoism is not as good as yours?" I think he has been studying Taoism for many years. Although he has no talent, he is still diligent. He helps people do feng shui and collects the screams of children. He has not made any serious mistakes in many years. Now, to be accused by a baby of not being good at Taoism, it can be said that everything inside and out has been completely lost. What's more, although he can't see people's faces, this girl is very bold and dares to attack dogs at a young age. It's not wrong to say that she will cause trouble for the family in the future. But he couldn't reason with a little baby yet, and it was really difficult for him to say anything. Just as he was blowing his beard and staring, he heard Mother Zhang's voice saying, "Taoist priest, thank you for saving my son. I have prepared some food at home. Taoist priest has worked hard. If you don't mind, please finish the meal before leaving." Although her son woke up a little late, he finally woke up. Mother Zhang's anxious heart finally fell to the ground. The Taoist priest's eyes were filled with gratitude. When the Taoist master heard this, he felt relieved. He was originally worried that the Zhang family would feel that he was not good at Taoism. But after hearing what Zhang's mother said, he was relieved. Indeed, the son of the Zhang family was rescued by himself. Otherwise, could it really be that the little girl in front of me was recalled? It's just a joke. Those who are clear will be clear themselves. Why should he take the words of a little girl to heart? Although he didn't know what was going on, since the Zhang family's son woke up, it must be his own credit. Mom, it was the sister of the Lu family who saved me. At this moment, young Master Zhang in Zhang's mother's arms was heard tugging on his mother's sleeves. Damn kid, what are you talking about? Mother Zhang glared at her son subconsciously, for fear that her son's words would offend the Taoist priest. How old is that little girl from the Lu family? How could she be so capable? I heard that she was frail and sickly when she was born, and a Taoist priest had approved her fate, saying that she had to be sent to a temple to be fed. The tired third eldest couple of the Lu family have been living in the countryside with their young daughter for these years, and their good work has been delayed. They are obviously very lucky. It was just a fooling around, and the fact that her son woke up had nothing to do with her. It seems that the Taoist priest's previous ritual had an effect. The child must have gotten lost on the road and woke up a little late. It's really the sister of the Lu family, young Master Zhang insisted, grabbing Zhang's mother's hand and saying, it was the sister of the Lu family who brought me back. Although he didn't know what happened just now, he remembered clearly that it was the sister of the Lu family who brought him out of that terrible house. He also held the hand of the Lu family's sister, which was very soft. Seeing that he was so sure, Zhang's mother couldn't help but cast a suspicious glance in Yu Bao's direction. Could it really be related to that girl? She was still angry when she saw that girl the Taoist priest's spell. Thinking that this girl from the Lu family was raised in the countryside, she had no rules at all. If it weren't for the fact that the two families had been neighbors for many years, she was worried about the Lu family's reputation, and she was worried about her son. She would have gone to the next door just now. But this child wouldn't say these words for no reason. Could it be that the girl really recalled the son's soul? End of this chapter. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 54. Chapter 54. You are not allowed to call me little brother again. I heard that the place where their family lived in recent years was near the temple. Could it be that they had learned something through their own eyes and ears? But this age is a bit too young. It's just a baby. Even if it's learning, how much can it learn? She is still more willing to believe in the Taoist priest's ability than to believe in the other party. Although the Taoist priest looked a little embarrassed at the moment, compared with the little girl of the Lu family in front of him, it was obviously more likely that the Taoist priest could recall his son's soul. It was Sister Lu who brought me back. Mom, how can you not believe me? But the young master of the Zhang family was so unrelenting in her arms that a little girl from the Lu family saved him. No matter how hard she thought, she could not believe it. None of them worked. Okay, I understand. Afraid that her son would make trouble, Zhang's mother hurriedly followed her son and said. Although the young master of the Zhang family is a little timid, he is still a domineering master at home. On weekdays, everyone is used to him, and they have developed a temperament in which he has to do whatever he says, and others have to follow his temperament. Whether it's true or not, since the brat said this, just come back and thank the other party with a small gift. But Mother Zhang then lowered her head and said to young Master Zhang, what do you call me, sister? You should be like you and the others and call me aunt. The young master of the Zhang family. Is it okay to be one generation lower for nothing? He raised his head and glanced in the direction of Yu Bao. She was obviously her little sister. She was younger than his cousin. How could she be called aunt? Yu Bao sensed the other person's gaze and raised his chubby little paws and waved towards him. Young Master Zhang couldn't help but smile. Young Master Gu on the side looked at the two of them and had not spoken since they came out of the deserted house. At this moment, her little face was tense, and she stood in front of Yu Bao and reminded her, it's time to go to kindergarten. Yu Bao then remembered that he was late for kindergarten. His big eyes widened. He took Master Gu's hand and ran back. It was only a few steps from Zhang's house to Lu's house. When they were almost at the door, Yu Bao remembered, hey, where is Anan? She had just been paying attention to little brother La, and seemed to have forgotten her third nephew again. At this moment, the dear nephew was sitting on the steps in front of his house, full of energy. Just now, the little and only pulled Sing Sing but not him. He is very angry now. He is not the kind who can't be coaxed by 10 lollipops. Yu Bao and young Master Gu ran all the way back without seeing him. Yu Bao was about to go find him when he heard young Master Gu say, "You are not allowed to call me little brother again." "Why?" Xiao Yu Bao looked at the other party with big eyes open in confusion. Young Master Gu said with a stern face, "If you don't allow it, you won't allow it. She has so many little brothers, and he doesn't want to be her little brother." "Then what will Yu Bao call you in the future? Brother Xingzi? Brother Sing Sing? Brothers Hizzy?" Yu Bao raised his little head, his voice was sweet and cute, and his long eyelashes were like two small fans, fanning. "The fan is so cute." Young Master Gu pursed his lips and said, "You can call me by my name anyway, as long as he's not the little brother." "Yu Bao, then, like my godmother, I'll wake you up, okay?" Young Master Gu. Why does he think it's not nice to call him little brother? Many years later, whenever young Master Gu tried his best to trick the girl into calling her brother, he couldn't help but regret today's impulsiveness and ignorance. End of this chapter. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 55. Chapter 55 Hidden Secrets. You just. Young Master Gu looked at her and hesitated to speak. First there was the matter of teacher Huahua, and then there was the matter of his mother avoiding the fire that day, and today I saw her talking to a ball of air with my own eyes. I always felt that there was some secret hidden in Zhou Tuanzi. On the other hand, Yu Bao held her little face, her big eyes were bright, and young Master Gu seemed to be able to see her invisible little tail wagging behind her, and her little voice was filled with uncontrollable joy and pride. "It's Yu Bao here. Isn't the skill learned by Koi Town and the Taoist uncles very powerful?" Xiaojin said that she cannot tell others about the system, otherwise bad people will capture her for experiments. Yu Bao didn't want to be captured by the bad guys, so he thought of the Taoist uncles at the Koi temple. If anyone asked in the future, he would say that he learned from the Taoist uncles secretly. The Taoist uncles would definitely not mind. Gu Xingzi thought about the technique of drawing talismans she learned from the Taoist priest, and it seemed that it would not be strange to learn something else. He told her with a serious face, "You are not allowed to put talismans on others casually in the future, and you are not allowed to tell others that you know these things." I didn't see that the Taoist priest and Zhang's sister-in-law didn't believe her at all, and almost regarded her as a liar. Yu Bao put on a cute little face and nodded her head obediently. The talisman paper is so difficult to draw, and it takes up her points. Yu Bao is very poor and never pastes it randomly. Well, she only gives it to those in need. Zhang family. When old man Zhang and Mrs. Zhang heard that their eldest grandson said that he had seen the little girl from the Lu family in his dream, and that the little girl from the Lu family also said that he would take him home, they were as convinced as their grandson that it was the little girl from the Lu family. I saved my eldest grandson. Immediately ordered my daughter-in-law to prepare generous gifts and go to the Lu family next door to express her gratitude. Older people are always more in awe of ghosts and gods. If the little girl from the Lu family really has such ability, it would be a good idea to form a good relationship. Even if it's wrong, it's just a loss of a little money. The Zhang family is not short of this. But if it is true, that couple is the benefactor of his Zhang family. Both Buddhism and Taoism emphasize karma and retribution. It is the most undesirable thing to owe others karma and harm one's moral character. Mrs. Zhang still didn't want to believe that the little girl next door could be so capable, but under pressure from her elders, she still came to the door with gifts. After asking Yo-Yo's mother that the girl had never learned any Taoist magic from the Taoist priest, she became even more convinced that this matter could not be related to the girl. So I took Yo-Yo's mother and said a lot of unpleasant things intentionally or unintentionally, openly or secretly. The general idea is that at a young age, Yobeo does not follow the right path and acts daringly. Not only is he disrespectful to the Taoist priest, but he also lies to steal credit from others and lacks discipline, etc. After Zhang's mother left, Yu's mother's brows did not open. Her own daughter knows that she doesn't believe anything about dogs committing crimes, lying, or being disrespectful to people. But what the other party just said was that Yu Bao stole the Taoist priest's spell, and she also claimed that she had found the soul of the child from the Zhang family. But it made her heart thump. Although she does not believe that her daughter has such great abilities, she believes that her daughter will not lie. Since she moved to Koi Town, that girl has been going to the Koi temple frequently. In addition to taking her up the mountain on the 1st and 15th day of the Lunar New Year, she herself is always clamoring to go to the temple to play. The Taoist priests in the temple all liked her, so it was not impossible that they taught her something in secret. Thinking of this, Yo-Yo's mother got up and went to Yobeo's room. After digging out the pile of yellow paper scraps and the remaining cinnabar in the box under the bed, it seemed as if a certain guess in my heart had been confirmed, and my brows suddenly became tighter. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 56. Chapter 56. The baby is feeling miserable, but he can't say it. Congratulations to the host, for helping the Zhang family's child find his lost soul. The system will reward him with 1,000 points. Congratulations to the host for successfully rescuing the suppressed resentful spirit in the deserted house. The system will reward you with 3,000 points. There are 4,000 points left. The host is asked to actively do good deeds and work hard to earn points, so that he will have great luck and reach the peak of life as soon as possible. Yo Bao's eyes lit up. Looking at the points balance in the system, he instantly felt like a little rich woman. Before, when she helped those cats and dogs, little butterflies, little ants, Xiaojin would only be rewarded 100 points every time. The most was when she helped teacher Huahua, the system rewarded her with 500 points. Thinking that not long ago she owed the system 1,000 points, and now not only has it been paid off, but she also has 4,000 more points. Yo Bao instantly thought, earning points doesn't seem to be that difficult. System, if the host was not too small and could only catch butterflies and play with ants, it would not even want to give 100 points. Life is not easy, and the system wants to sigh. With a huge amount of points in his pocket, Yobeo hurriedly opened the system mall. As a result, he was dumbfounded when he saw the amount of points exchanged behind the product. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. She picked up her chubby little fingers and counted them over and over again. After counting, she found that she seemed to be unable to buy anything. Xiaojin, there's something wrong with the system. Yobeo stared at the items in the system mall with his big eyes in disbelief, and then a panicked voice sounded. Obviously, many products could be exchanged for only 100 points before, but now, all these products are gone. Even the yellow paper and cinnabar she had redeemed before had increased to 1,000 points. The only difference is that there are two words high quality on it. System, host, there is no problem with the system, it is just upgraded. As a newbie system, there was a newcomer discount, so its price would be cheaper than normal product prices. But now we are a mature system, and all the products in it have been restored. It's just the normal product price. A simple translation means that the host was a poor man before and could not afford expensive products. The system had no choice but to use newcomer discounts and cheap discounts to attract and stimulate the host to work hard to earn points for consumption. But now the host is rich. So the discount was also cancelled. Yo Bao stared with big eyes and said he would not do it, How could this be just this? This is clearly a robbery for money, no, a robbery for points. Is it easy for babies to earn points? How could Zyajin secretly upgrade without telling her? This is clearly deceiving children. As a kind-hearted koi system, this is wrong. Xiao Nebeo seriously criticized and educated the system. The system had no choice but to finally agree that she could purchase the goods she had purchased before at the original price, and Yobeo reluctantly gave up. Then there was a pile of yellow paper and cinnabar in the system's inventory. Looking at the remaining balance that seemed to be a lot but actually could not afford anything, Ziobeazai, who was only happy for a second, became wilted. The little chirps on his head drooped. I thought I would become rich overnight, but ended up being poor. Yobao pursed his lips and his face was as wrinkled as that of an old lady. Young Master Gu glanced at her and said, "What's wrong with you?" Yobao held his face with his little hands and sighed like a little adult. The baby is feeling bitter, but the baby can't say it. End of this chapter. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 57. Chapter 57. Don't like her anymore. The Dear Family. The little nephew Lu sat angrily on the steps and said to the little black dog lying next to him, "Why does my little aunt only take seeing and not me? Does she only like seeing and not me? Humph, then I don't like her anymore, and I will never pay attention to her again." The little black dog lay on the ground, swung its tail, and didn't even give him an extra look. After about 5 minutes passed, the dear nephew stretched his neck and looked outside, took a look, and quickly retracted. "Why hasn't my little aunt come back yet?" He frowned, continued to straighten his back, raised his chin and said, "Forget it, I have a lot of money. As long as my little aunt agrees to treat me to 10 lollipops, I will reluctantly forgive her." Woof, the little black dog finally lazily raised his head and glanced at him. But the look in his eyes was rather disdainful. Another 5 minutes passed, and the dear nephew had changed from sitting to lying on the steps. He kept the same posture as the little black dog next to him. He looked out the door and said, "Eating too much candy will damage your teeth, or they will still be one. Well, as long as my little aunt treats me to a lollipop, I will forgive her." Woof, woof, the little black dog simply changed direction and lay down. Ibli is chanting sutras. Young nephew Lu waited and waited. When he was about to fall asleep, Yubao and young Master Gu hadn't come back yet. I don't know how long it took, but finally Yubao and Gu Xingzi's voices sounded at the gate of Lu's house. The little black dog made a woof sound and stood up from the ground. There was a figure next to him who rushed out faster than it. Little nephew Lu rushed to Yubao, took her hand and said, "Little aunt, you are finally back. You are almost late for kindergarten. Let's go quickly." Woof woof. The little black dog that followed him stopped suddenly and almost didn't hit him. He raised his head and looked at him with disdain. Didn't he agree that he couldn't be coaxed by 10 lollipops? Even dogs looked down on him. Yubeo couldn't help but feel guilty when she saw her little nephew Lu. She didn't mean to forget him just now. But seeing that her third nephew didn't seem angry with her, Yubao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The third nephew is so kind. Yubao felt more and more guilty. She remembered the snacks that young Master Gu had given her before. She immediately took out the snacks and handed them to her nephew Lu in a flattering manner. "This is for you to eat. I specially reserved it for you." Little nephew Lu knew at a glance that the snacks were made by the aunt next door, and his eyes couldn't help but light up. The little aunt also left some snacks for him. The little aunt was so kind to her. He took the snack and couldn't wait to take a bite. "Good times, respect, good times, little cuckoo, your mouth is good. It's delicious, it's so delicious, little aunt, you are the best." Your mouth was so full that Yubeo could hardly hear what he said. After finishing the snacks, the little nephew Lu took Yubao and happily went to the kindergarten. As for the other party abandoning him, he has long forgotten it. Yobao, who is staying in the kindergarten, still doesn't know that his little secret is about to be discovered. Yo-Yo's mother looked at the things in Yobao's room, thought about it, and finally put the things back quietly, planning to continue pretending not to know anything. Because of what the Taoist priest said back then, and because Yobao's health has indeed gotten better and better over the years, the couple went from not believing in ghosts and gods at first to now having no choice but to believe it. Taoism emphasizes the pursuit of predestined relationships. Perhaps, this is the predestined relationship for daughters. End of this chapter. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 58. Chapter 58. Yobao will protect his brother. It is night, without stars. Only a bright moon hangs in the sky. The night was as dark as a mountain, making people breathless. Yobao was sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, watching cartoons, when he suddenly caught a glimpse of a figure walking out. The little man immediately jumped down from the sofa and chased the other person. His little hand grabbed the other person's trouser leg. "Brother, are you going out?" "Yeah," Lusu responded lightly. Although they are not as repulsive towards the little boy as before, they cannot become particularly close to each other all of a sudden like other siblings. The little girl raised her little head and continued to ask, "Brother, are you going to find the big brother from last time?" Lusu stopped and looked at her. "Little boy, you have a lot of problems today." "Yubao, brother, Yubao also wants to go. Can you take Yubao with you?" Lusu glanced at her suspiciously. This was the first time that this little kid wanted to go out with him. And he didn't say where he was going. How did she know that she was going to see Siesui? He sent messages to that boy Siesui for a whole day today, but the other person never responded. It was not until he called the other person just now that he found out that something had happened to that boy. "Brother, take your baby with you," the little nanny said softly. Her little hands were holding his trouser legs, and her big eyes were looking straight at him, as if she was afraid that he would run away. Although the koi blessing that Yobao gave him last time helped him avoid a disaster, the evil spirit on his body was not completely resolved. She just discovered that he was in a dark mood today and was plagued by bad luck, and the remaining catastrophe would probably happen tonight. Yubao knows that it is unlikely that the other party will stay, so it is better to go with him. What's more, only by going together can the calamity on him be completely resolved. Lusu frowned and said, "Not today, it's too late. It would be okay if I took her with me during the day, but it's already night now, and it's time for the little cub to sleep." But I thought about the lucky bag that the little boy put on me before, and then thought about Siesui's unconsciousness for no reason. Lusu hesitated for a moment, then said again, Do you still have the lucky bag you gave me last time?" After asking, he felt a little regretful. When did he start to believe this kind of thing? Yubao shook his head. The lucky bag was gone. "But she can draw it herself." Just as Yubao was about to speak, he heard Lusu say, "Forget it if you don't have any." He was about to go out. However, he found that the corner of his clothes was being pulled tightly by someone. The little bun raised his head and said with a serious expression, "Brother can't go out by himself, he must take Yubao with him." "Lusu, it's too late, you should go to bed. Brother's friends are in danger, and he will be in danger if he goes out now with Yubao. Yubao can protect brother." Xiaonai's voice was clear and loud, and her expression was serious and serious. "What are you talking about?" Lusu was startled. Yubao raised his little face and said, "Brother is stained with evil spirits. Something bad will happen when he goes out tonight, but don't be afraid. Just take Yubao with you. Yubao has a way to save brother and the big brother, elder brother. The grape-like eyes carry a starlight that is irresistible, making people inexplicably trustworthy." Lusu stared at her for a while, and then said, "Follow if you want, but he regretted it as soon as he let go. Could he really believe that this little brat could protect him? He must be crazy. But before he could retort, he heard the little girl say, "Brother, wait for me, and the car will come right away." After saying that, she was worried and told him specifically, "Brother, you must wait for me and don't run away secretly." As he said, he ran towards the room on his short legs. Lusu saw that she almost fell, and he hurriedly said, "You run slower, I won't run away secretly." Then he felt more and more confused. What can this girl do if she can't even walk steadily? It was as if I had seen a ghost and actually believed what she said. However, everything was done, and he wouldn't go back on his promise to a little girl. It's just a trip to the hospital, and probably nothing will happen. After a while, Yu Bao came out carrying a small cloth bag. The bag is bulging, and I don't know what it contains. Yu Bao is ready, let's go. Yu Bao ran forward and took the initiative to hold Lusu's hand. Lusu glanced at her small bag, but didn't ask her what she packed in it. Yu Bao used points to exchange for a pile of yellow paper and cinnabar. Recently, he has been hiding in his room to draw talismans. What is now in the bag is her recent achievements. In addition to the peace talisman, evil-proofing talisman, puppet talisman, and immobilization talisman, she also drew many new talismans, which might be used later. And her small wooden sword, Yubao also put it in her bag. Mainly because I'm worried that taking it out directly from the space will arouse everyone's suspicion. These are all her treasures. Yu Bao just boasted in front of his brother and vowed that he would be able to protect him. In fact, she felt very guilty. She had only learned a small part of the contents of the ancient seal script so far. In addition to being more proficient in drawing talismans, she had only read about other spells and formations, but had not really started practicing them. However, don't be afraid, she is a little koi, and the koi immortal will definitely bless her and turn her bad luck into good. And she also has Xiaojian, who will definitely help her. She went to save people and do good deeds. At this point, the driver has gone back to rest. Lusu called a car in advance, and as soon as the two of them left the community, there was a car waiting at the entrance of the community. 20 minutes later, the car stopped at the entrance of Yunjing Hospital. Yu Bao got off the car, raised his little head and glanced at the hospital in front of him. The next second, his short legs flew into the air, and he was picked up from the ground. Yu Bao swayed his two short legs, struggling to get down and said, "If you don't hold me, Yu Bao will walk on his own." Lusu said with a look of disgust, "You are walking too slow." Yu Bao then hugged his neck and hung on his body, all the way into the elevator. The elevator stopped at the 27th floor. This is the inpatient department of the hospital. Lusu came out of the elevator with Yu Bao in his arms. Even before he got close to the ward, Yu Bao could already feel a sinister aura. In addition, I also felt a vaguely familiar yet unfamiliar aura, which was very similar to the ghosts I had encountered in the deserted house before, but seemed to be a little different. They seemed to be stronger than when they were encountered before. The resentful spirits in the small wooden sword also sensed it and became restless. Yu Bao stretched out his little hand and patted them, and then they calmed down. Lusu glanced at her sideways. I always felt that the little boy's actions just now were a bit strange. His eyes immediately fell on the small bag on her waist. I didn't ask before, but I couldn't help but feel a little curious now. The kid went back specially to bring this bag with him, and he didn't know what was in it. I always feel that it is not an ordinary thing. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 59. Chapter 59. What are you doing? Yu Bao raised his little head and smiled at him. Lusu then looked back, He must have thought too much. As he approached the door, Yu Bao tugged on Lu Su's sleeve and asked Lu Su to put her down. At this point, apart from Siesui, who was lying unconscious on the hospital bed, the only ones left in the ward were Siesui's parents. Uncle and aunt, let me come to see Ajui. The two families live in the same community and have a good relationship. Lu Su has been to Sie's house many times before, and is familiar with Sie's father and Sie's mother. It's Ash. You've made a special trip so late, you're so thoughtful. Sie's father and mother both looked tired and worried at this time, and they didn't want to greet him. Especially Sie's mother, her eyes were red, she must have cried not long ago. Lu Su glanced in the direction of the hospital bed and said, "How is Ajui?" The call was just answered by Sie's mother. The caller only said that Siesui was unconscious. The specific situation was not elaborated on the phone. When mentioning this, Sie's mother's eyes turned red again. This child went to the resort with his father, but he suddenly fainted on the way back. The hospital couldn't find out the reason. Siesui's father is in the real estate business. He has recently developed a new resort and it will open next month. Siesui was originally going to inspect it with his father today. It was fine when I went there, but suddenly it became like this when I came back. Sie's father and Sie's mother were so frightened that they thought they had an emergency, so they hurriedly sent her to Yunjing Hospital. But all the tests were done, and even after a long time, the results were not found. As soon as Lu Su heard that the reason could not be found, he subconsciously glanced at the little boy behind him. Yo Bao was trying hard to look in the direction of the hospital bed with her short legs. However, due to her limited height, she could not see the face of the person on the bed clearly, but she could see that he was surrounded by a black air. This black aura is very similar to the evil aura on my brother's body. This is it. The Xie family couple then noticed the little girl following Lu Su. This is my sister, Lu Yu. Lu Su held the little kid's hand and pulled her to thank her father and mother. Hello, Uncle and Auntie. Xiao Neibao obediently greeted Xie's father and Xie's mother. The little girl is white, tender and soft, with eyes, which makes her very cute. Xie's father and mother were now preoccupied with her son's condition. When she saw her, she couldn't help but feel soft. She looked at Yu Bao with more concern in her eyes. She raised her head and asked Lu Su, "It's so late, why, you brought your sister out, do your parents know?" "They know." On the way, Lu Su called Yo-Yo's father and Yo-Yo's mother and told them that he was going to take Yo Bao out. Although Yo-Yo's father was surprised that his son was taking his daughter out so late at night, he had already gone out and only told him to take good care of his sister. As for Yo-Yo's mother, she didn't say anything. Xie's mother had always wanted to have a daughter in her early years, but her son objected, and her wish for many years has not come true. She felt happy when she saw Yu Bao, but now her son is unconscious. She really has no extra thoughts to get close to other people's children. Si Zulugzu said, "Your uncle and I are very pleased that you came all the way to see Ajui, but it's too late today. Take your sister back to rest quickly." Just as Lu Su was about to say something, his sleeve was suddenly tugged. He lowered his head and heard Xiao Zeza say, "Brother, I can make Brother Xie wake up." "What did you say?" Lu Su was shocked, and then subconsciously glanced in the direction of Xie's parents. Seeing that the two of them didn't hear what Xiao Zhe said, they breathed a sigh of relief. Then he scolded her in a low voice, "Don't talk nonsense." "Brother, Yu Bao is not talking nonsense. Yu Bao can really wake up Brother Xie." Xiao Nai's voice was clear and loud, and now both the Xie family and his wife heard it. The two people's stiff gazes fell on Yu Bao's white and tender face, and their minds were buzzing for a while, making them unable to react. Regardless of everyone's shock, Yu Bao walked to the hospital bed with his short legs. After speaking, he calmly took out a yellow magic talisman from the small bag in front of him, stood on tiptoes, and reached for it with his little hands. After trying several times, he couldn't reach it. He turned around and called Lusu behind him, "Brother, help me quickly." Lusu saw a complicated light flashing in his eyes when he saw the talisman in her hand. Although before going out, Xiao Zhi said that she had a way to save Xiesui and followed him. At that time, he really wanted to believe her as if he was obsessed for a moment, but he was quickly rejected. The little boy is only so old. Even if the lucky bag is really useful, it is only the work of the Taoist priest in the temple. So I didn't really take it to heart. But at this moment, watching her take out the talisman paper from her bag, Lusu felt an indescribable strange feeling in his heart. Could this girl really have learned some weird skills from the Taoist priests in the temple? "Brother, hurry up," Xiao Yubao urged anxiously when he saw him standing still. Lusu had no choice but to step forward and pick up the little boy. He saw Yubao wave his little hand and stick the talisman paper on Xiesui's forehead with a pop sound. The complex lines on the talisman seal automatically emitted light. The light flowed, and soon disappeared. Lusu, who happened to see the scene, pursed his lips unconsciously and looked at Yubao with a shocked and complicated look. "What are you doing?" Father Xie and Mother Xie on the side were still in shock that Xiao Yubao had just said that he could save his son. They were stunned for a long time, and then they noticed the actions of the two brothers and sisters, and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Auntie, we are rescuing brother Xie." Xiao Naiyan was cute and serious. Xie's mother was startled, then grabbed her hand excitedly and said, "What did you say? What you said is true. Can you really save Ajui?" "No, it's impossible, this is just a baby." Thinking of this, he couldn't help but let go of Yubao's hand in disappointment. She was really sick and sought medical treatment. Even the experts in the hospital couldn't find out the cause of her son's illness. She actually believed a little baby's words. "Auntie, brother Xie is fine, he will wake up soon." Xiao Nai's voice was sweet and soft, but Mother Xie was not comforted. "Thank you, Aunt. No matter what, this kid has good intentions." As soon as Xie's mother's voice fell, the person lying on the bed suddenly moved. Except for Yubao, everyone else was stunned. The next second, Xiesui slowly opened his eyes. "Hey, where are you? What's wrong with me?" The young man was lying on the hospital bed, looking at the white room, his mind went blank. "Son, are you awake? Are you really awake?" Xie's mother recovered from the shock, immediately rushed forward and grabbed Xiesui's hand. "You kid, you scared your mother to death." Only then did Xiesui see the people in the room clearly. "Dad? Mom? Where am I? Why are you all looking at me like this?" Then he saw Lusu next to him. "Hey, Ash, what are you doing? Are you here?" End of this chapter. Group Pet Koi Little Baby, she is soft and sweet. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 60. Chapter 60. Why does he feel so unreliable? Lusu looked at him with a complicated expression. This was too weird, and he didn't know how to explain it to him. On the other hand, Mother Xie on the side cried and said, "You child, suddenly fell into a coma without any problems, but your father and I were so frightened that we couldn't understand." Xiesui scratched his head and looked confused at Xie's mother's words. "Am I not in my dad's car?" He remembered that he was very sleepy, and then fell asleep. "Why did you wake up and find yourself in the hospital?" Xie's father and Xie's mother were startled when they heard this. Only then did they think of the talisman Yubao had just posted. Suddenly the look in Yubao's eyes became grateful and complicated. Thanks to this child, Xie's mother glanced at the small-breasted dumpling that was no higher than the hospital bed. It was hard to imagine that the little girl actually saved her son. "Mom, what are you talking about? What kind of child?" Xiesui became more and more confused as he listened. "Brother, I'm here." Yubao waved his little paw vigorously. "She is an acquaintance herself, not to mention she has met Xiesui. Her brother's friends are her friends." Xiesui followed the sound and looked over, then saw Xiao Yubao standing at the end of the bed. Then he turned to look at Lu Su with his eyes wide open. Why did you bring your sister out? This guy has always shown that he hates the sister, but he has become inseparable so quickly. He takes her with him wherever he goes. Lu Su had not yet recovered from the shock of Xiao Zaizi really waking up Xiesui from his coma. Hearing Xiesui's voice, his expression was complicated for a time. He did not answer Xiesui's question, but looked at Yu Bao and said, "Is he okay now?" Yu Bao shook his head. Brother Xie was unconscious because of the evil spirit. I just helped him get rid of the evil spirit. However, since the eldest brother is entangled by it, it will definitely come back again. Xiesui looked at the two brothers and sisters with a blank look on his face. What evil spirit? What kind of ghost is it? Why is it clinging to me? Why does it sound so scary? Xiao Neibao patted his small chest and said, "Brother Xie, don't be afraid, it's just a little devil. Yu Bao is here, and Yu Bao will protect everyone." Aksu, what on earth is your sister talking about? Why couldn't he understand a word? Forget it if you don't understand, Lu Su Wuxin explained. Rather than worrying about his friends, what he wanted to know now was, why does the little boy understand this? She has lived with her parents in Koli town all these years. What has she experienced? Xiesui saw that no one told him the cause and effect, and immediately said anxiously, "No, you should tell me clearly what is going on with me, right? As a client, he always has the right to know, right?" Lu Su glanced at him, and then looked at Yu Bao. He also wants to know what is going on? Not only the two of them, but Xie's father and mother also looked at Yu Bao and said, "Please, my little niece, tell me what's wrong with this boy in our family." They also saw that their son's illness was strange. It was probably stained by something unclean. I also saw that Yu Bao woke up his son with just a talisman. He was obviously a capable person. Just looking at her face, I really can't say the word master. It's better to ask your niece to appear closer. They are all business people, and they know how to measure best. This girl is extraordinary at first glance, and it is always a good idea to get closer to her. Yu Bao looked at Xiesui on the bed, and said with a crisp voice, "Brother Xie was entangled by a kid, that's why he fell into a coma. But it doesn't matter, with Yu Bao here, Brother Xie will be fine." Xiao Jing just told her that it was either a powerful spirit or an ordinary little ghost, not even a fierce ghost or a fierce ghost. A 5 thunder ghost suppressing talisman can solve it? Xiesui laughed as soon as he heard this. Ha ha ha, what did you say? I'm haunted by a ghost? Are you kidding me? Where do ghosts come from these days? Lu Su, I'm afraid your sister has heard too many ghost stories, right? Lu Su, he doesn't want to believe it either, but his sister's talisman is really useful for this fool. Xiao Yubao, however, stared at his big eyes like water grapes and said seriously, "Brother Xie, if you don't believe it, you can wait. It will definitely come to you again at night." Xiesui's smile froze, he swallowed, and said, "Sister Yubao, don't talk nonsense. Where did the ghost come from in this world?" Yubao seemed to remember something just now. He patted his forehead and said, I forgot that you can't see ghosts." As he said this, he took out 4 talismans from his bag and handed one to each person. "Everyone, put this ghost talisman on your body and you will be able to see ghosts in a moment." There was no need to thank him for the last one, and Yu Bao climbed onto the bed and slapped him on the chest. "Everyone. What, they don't want to see ghosts at all?" Everyone instantly felt that the talisman in their hands was a bit hot, neither holding it nor losing it. Xiesui looked at his parents' reactions, and then looked at Lu Su. "No, Dad, Mom, Ash, you don't really believe what this girl said, do you?" Xie, father and mother, still remembered how the little girl woke her son up with the talisman. Holding the talisman now felt hot to her hands, and neither of them spoke when their son asked. Although they also found this thing incredible, the strangeness of their son's illness made them unconvinced. Lusu, on the other hand, glanced at him and said, "Yes or no, we will find out later." If he had known that the little boy was going to catch ghosts, he should not have brought him here. How old is she? What if she is hurt by a ghost? Siesui saw that he was serious about what he said, and couldn't help but feel embarrassed in his heart, but he kept his face and said, "Ha ha, you must be kidding me, are you teasing me?" Seeing everyone looking at him with complicated eyes, the expression on Siesui's face became stiff little by little. "No, it's impossible. How can there really be ghosts in this world?" After asking this question in his mind, he felt that the temperature in the ward had dropped by several degrees. He couldn't help but shiver and look in the direction of Yuba. I saw the little guy yawned, holding back a pack of tears in his eyes. He rubbed his eyes and looked at Lusu and said, "Brother, Yubeo is sleepy. Yubeo wants to sleep for a while." Lusu glanced in Siesui's direction. The latter looked at himself and then at the bed beneath him. "No, this guy doesn't mean to give up his bed to his sister, right? He is a patient. No, that's not right, he doesn't seem to be sick." Siesui felt a little aggrieved inexplicably and got up from the bed that originally belonged to him. Lusu glanced at the little kid next to him and said, "Go to sleep." Yubeo was not polite. He took off his shoes and climbed into bed by himself. Seeing that she was about to go to bed after covering herself with the quilt, Siesui then remembered a question and said, "No, didn't you say it would come in a while? You just fell asleep like this, what should we do? Sit here and wait for that thing to come to your door?" End of this chapter.